Okay, let's start up with this PDF here. I'm just going to open up a PDF that was created using Word in Acrobat rather than Adobe PDF Reader, Acrobat Reader rather. Okay, now first thing that we look at is how to change this initial view. So sometimes you get PDFs, and I mean this is not too bad. Sometimes you get PDFs and they look like this, and you go, whoa, that's too much. Let's back off a little bit. Well, that's most of the times the reason for that is most of the times the creator of the PDF didn't pay attention to this, or they didn't know. So let's have a look at first how we can fix that. Of course, you can zoom in and out using all these. Is anybody here using Acrobat, by the way? Or who is using Acrobat? Oh, perfect. Okay, great. The majority. Great. So to change this initial view to say show the entirety of that page, what you have to do is once you have this PDF open in Acrobat, either hold down Control and D or Command and D on the Mac, or if you care to go to this menu item here, you can go to File and Properties. Okay, this is most of the times this is where the things happen under the hood, if you like, inside your PDF. We'll come back to this later on as well. So you open up the Properties, and you'll see a tab here called Initial View. Okay. This determines what the user, the end user, when they double click on that PDF to open, sees when the PDF is first open, when the PDF launches, if you like. By default, it will be set to default, so you may have set this to a different zoom level than you created the PDF, or without knowing, it may look all the way zoomed in. 400% or what have you. If you go down here, you see the magnification option here. It says default. You can click on that, and you can pick one of these options here. So you can have 100%, you can fit the whole page, fit the width of the page, fit the height of the page, whichever one you want. Or you can pick up a different value here, as in percentage. I'll go to fit page. And here you also have the opportunity to send the user to a specific page in that PDF. So by default, it will open up with the first page, but say the first page is just, I don't know, a header or something that you don't want to include as soon as they open the PDF. You can change the page number here as well. So you can type in 2, and as soon as they double click, they'll be taken to the second page. Without anything else, I'll just hit OK. Then I'll go ahead and close this file. It will ask me to save any changes that I have made. The changes I've made are the changes that we looked at in the Properties panel there. So I'm going to hit yes to accept this. And I'll even quit Acrobat. And I think it was this one. I'll double click. This time it will open up nicely and it will show me the entirety of the page as opposed to a really funny zoom level like this. So that's one thing that you will hopefully keep in mind, and that will help other users, not yourself maybe as the creator, but other users navigate inside your document a lot easier, so they know what's going on here. Second thing we'll talk about is bookmarks. Anyone using bookmarks here? You can create them from InDesign, right from InDesign, you can create them from different applications, or from inside Acrobat as well. Anyone using those bookmarks? Great. Bookmarks are like links inside your PDF document. And like I said again, we're not talking about creating PDFs from scratch. You can create those bookmarks in different applications. So I'm talking about a PDF without any bookmarks and how to add bookmarks to this existing PDF. Now, to add bookmarks to your PDF, you want to go to this panel on the left, the Bookmarks panel. If you can't see this panel, just right-click on this panel and choose Bookmarks. That will open up. These here in Acrobat 10 are called pane rather than panels. Not pain as in head pain, pain as in P-A-N-E, or palettes as well in earlier versions. Now, when you set the bookmark, you don't set the bookmark to a specific page. You set the bookmark to a page and a zoom level. So say I want to create a bookmark that will take me to this first image here, okay, called Adobe Connect. I first have to set my zoom level to that image, and you can do this in many different ways. You can use your zoom controls, you can use the keyboard, these buttons. I'll just use this marquee zoom tool there. I'll click on that and draw an area around this, so it will zoom in to that area. Then I'll go ahead and click on this little button here to create a bookmark. It will be ready for me to name this bookmark, so it will just go into that bookmark's name here without me doing anything. Then I'll just call this, let's call this Meetings. Okay. Hit return. Then the bookmark there is set. Now we'll create one more, then we'll come back and test if this bookmark is working. So that's our first bookmark. I'll zoom out, and let's set another bookmark to take us here. And again, I'm going to create a selection with the zoom tool here around this image. You don't have to do this. You can go to any page size that you like. The bookmark will show that page size. I'll just create a selection like this. And I'll go ahead and click on this bookmark icon again. And I'll call this New Meeting. And I'll either click outside or hit return, and it will accept that. Now let's go ahead and test if those bookmarks are actually working. To go to that bookmark, you can click on the icon here, and indeed it takes us to that page and that view. And this one here takes us to this part of the same page. We're still on the same page, it takes us to this part. You see that I couldn't get the zooming exactly the right. If you look at the zoom level here, this part here is zoomed in 151%. This one here is almost 160%. So it looks at your zoom level as well, and it says that too. Now, I'll just zoom out. I'll create one more bookmark, and maybe I'll just create a bookmark like this. So I'm seeing more here. Then I'll click on this bookmark, and I'll call this General Info about Meetings. Okay. Now, if I click on this one, it will take me to that view and the page, and this one will take me to this page and this view. So we're in the second page now, with a 108% zoom level. Now, you can organize these bookmarks. You can create this parent and child relationship between these bookmarks. And by that I mean, you know, in say Windows, you have the folder, then you scroll it down on the left-hand side. There's a little triangle, and it opens up the content of the folder. Then you scroll another one down, opens up that one. You can create the similar, or you can do that on the Mac as well. You can do the similar thing within Acrobat. The way that works is, say the Meetings bookmark here is the main bookmark, and inside that bookmark I want to have more. So I can click on this second bookmark, click and drag it, and you see if I drag it up here to the right, you see a little arrow appearing right under the letter M. I let go there. Now it creates this little triangle next to Meetings, which means now this is collapsible or expandable, and I can just do this with this triangle to hide or show the content. And if you want, you can drag the second one in there as well, and it will also put that second bookmark in there. But I'll leave this outside for now. With the bookmarks that you create, you can make them look a little bit different as well. By default, they'll all look black, and with this size as well, and with this type of type really. So they'll be normal. They won't be bold or italic or a different color. If you want to change the way this looks, imagine having say, you know, tens of different bookmarks, and you want to make all the main bookmarks say bold or red or what have you. You can right click on the bookmark, on any bookmark, go to Properties. It won't give you too many options. It will just give you in the appearance panel, just give you the style, so you can choose if you want it to be bold, italic, or both, or just plain. Just make it say bold and italic. You'll see it turns bold and italic. And also, if you click on this color swatch, you can pick a different color. Let's make this red, for example. If I click OK here, you won't see that red yet. You just need to click outside, on a different bookmark rather, and you'll see that turns red. Now, you can spend minutes, if not hours, trying to set all these bookmarks properly. And if it's a long document, you would actually be spending maybe hours on this, trying to, you know, create those navigational bookmarks here. And people may not even be aware that there are bookmarks in this document. So you want to make sure that they know that you have spent all that time, and they see this bookmarks panel, which is not open by default. So as soon as we open the document, it opened up like this, right? We didn't see any bookmark, and we had to come here and click on it to open it up. We don't want the other users to do this, because like I said, they may not even be aware that there are bookmarks. So again, we go to the initial view panel, either File, Properties, or Command D, or Control D on the PC. Then we go to Initial View. Then it says Navigation tab. By default, it will be Page Only, which will just show you the page, nothing else. If you click on that, you'll have the second option here, Bookmarks panel and the page. If you do that and save this document again, you'll have this document, as soon as someone double clicks on this document will open up with this bookmark panel on the left hand side there. So this is quite important. You have a couple of more different options here, like Pages panel. So instead of the Bookmarks panel here, you can open up this Pages panel. So if you have more pages and you want them to be able to see that, and you want them to be able to navigate between the pages by clicking on them, you can tell Acrobat to open this Pages panel rather than Bookmarks panel. But only one of them could be active for the initial view. Of course, if you want to use both, you can have a little instruction on your PDF saying there are bookmarks, click on the button here to go down, what have you. If you want to get rid of a bookmark or rename it, if you want to rename it, just click on the name here and it will highlight the name. Now you can just change the name to whatever you like. If you want to get rid of a bookmark, you either select it and hit delete, or this trash can here after selecting the bookmark. You'll also get rid of that bookmark. I'll just get rid of this bookmark here as well, which will delete the child bookmark too, and I'll collapse this panel. And next we will talk about adding headers and footers. I'll show you some tricks with this, especially with when we talk about watermark. I'll show you some cool tricks and tips. So again, we created this PDF document from a different. It's originating from a different application, and we don't have any page numbers, we don't have any headers, we don't have any footers, and we'll go ahead and add all those inside Acrobat. So to do that, you go to your Tools panel here on the right. Then everything to do with the page itself, rather than the content, will be inside this Pages panel. By default, you can't open more than one of these drop-down menus here. So if I click on Content, I just changed this, I'll show you how to change that. If I click on Content, normally by default, the Pages panel would collapse. And so I'll just end up like this. So if I click on Content, I just see Content and the other one collapses. And if I click on Forms, this collapses. So you can only have one open by default. It's not a big deal, but if you want to change that, there's a little options bar here to the top right. Oops. That one there. You can click on that and tick Allow multiple panels open, which is not ticked by default. Then you can open up different panels here. Now let's go ahead and have a look at adding headers and footers here. We're just going to add some text and maybe the date or maybe some page numbers and what have you. I'll click on Header and Footer and I'll choose Add Header and Footer. We'll open up this new window. Okay. What we're seeing here may look a little bit complicated, but it's really simple and fairly straightforward. You have 6 tabs here, and they all represent your page. So the upper row here represents this part. This is the upper part of your page. The row at the bottom here represents the lower part of your page. You can see the in-between part is kind of cut out. You have this scissors mark there. So it looks like it's been cut out. So whatever we put in, say, the left header text will go and be our left header. Whatever we put in the right footer text will be our right footer. That's quite straightforward. Let's have a look at what else you can do here. You can change the font of this header or footer that you're applying from here. You can change its sizes from here. You can put an underline to it, or you can change its color. I'll come down here and let's just add header to the top left. Well, header would be on top left anyway. Add a header to left here. So I'm just gonna type in Academy class. There you go. Just type in Academy class, and you'll see that this appears here on top of my page. So this is giving me a preview of my page. It's a good idea to make sure that you don't have anything else here, so they don't overlap with the headers or the footers don't overlap with your existing material. To check that, you have these arrows here. You can click on them, and they will show you the second page. It will tell you how many pages there are total. and it will tell you on which page you are currently. Just check that it doesn't overlap with anything. You can change the margins here, so if you want to send these up a little bit more, or to the right, to the left, you can change the margins from here. But I find for most of the times, this default ones work just fine. And let's have a look at how we can add, say, a date here, and a page number. Well, let's try and add a date to our right header. I click on the right header text field. Rather than typing the date manually, because you don't maybe know what date it is, or it's tedious, there's a button that they thought about called Insert Date. Rather than just typing the date here like this, I'll just click on this button, making sure that I'm still in this window. Just click on this Insert Date button, and it will insert this weird looking set of text, if you like. So you'll have two smaller than icons, then M/D, two greater than icons. This is a little bit of code here. What this does is it asks Acrobat to go to our computer's date and time date options and have a look at what date it is and put it up in here. By default, you'll see this month and day like this, like in the American version, and I'll tell you how you can change it in a second as well. And of course, we can carry on and add more text to here as well. So you can say today is whatever, and you can carry on adding more text here. If you're not happy with the formatting here, so say you don't want to have month and day, maybe you want to have day, month, year, or just day, month, what have you, you can go to here and click on this link called Page Number and Date Format, and it will let you choose a different date format here. So you have all these options. Hopefully these should be there should be enough options to choose from. Say you want to see day, month, and year as opposed to month and day. Let's come back to the rest later. I'll hit OK here. You see absolutely nothing changes on my preview here. The reason for this is this option doesn't affect the existing text field. So you have to get rid of this and add a new date, insert a new date, and that new date will have the new formatting of this button here, which is what we set here. Exactly the same thing. Instead of typing the page number one by one, which wouldn't really work because it's going to apply to every single page and you have to have different page numbers on every single page, you can choose where you want to add the page number. Say let's add it to center footer. Then click on Insert Page Number, and it will insert this one here, and it will say 1. And if I just go to the different page here, let's go to the second page, you see it says 2. I go to the third page, it will say 3, and so on. If I want to change the formatting of this, so if I want to, rather than seeing just 1, 2, 3, maybe I want to see 1 of 3, page 1 of 3, or what have you, I can again go back to Page Number and Date Formats, and I can choose Page Number Formats, and I can pick one of these. Choose 1 of n. N stands for the total number of pages there, so I can click on this, or I can just pick page 1 of n and hit OK. And you'll see again nothing changes because it doesn't update the existing one. So I'm going to get rid of this and insert a new page number, and you see this time we'll have this one here. If you created all this, if you spent all this time creating all this, and you find yourself doing this, every other day, you can go ahead and click on the Save Settings button at the very top. And you can save these as a preset. So I can save this as my header and footer preset. Next time you open up this window, you'll have this my header and footer preset option. If you want to apply this to multiple pages, multiple documents, you can click on this button here. It will open up a new panel. It will ask you to bring in the files that you want to apply this header and footer settings to. You can go to Add Files, or you can just drag and drop files in here, PDF files, and hit OK, and it will go through those files and add those headers and footers to all those files. Now, I'm going to hit Cancel here, and I'll need to do that thing again. I'll go back. I'll hit Cancel there, go back to Header and Footer, and I'll click on Add Header and Footer. Luckily, I saved that, so I can go back and click on my header and footer. You see they all come back here. I don't need to do anything else. This last little option here is Page Range Options. You can click on this and determine on which pages this will appear. You can say by default it will be set to all pages, so it will start from the very beginning until the very last page. You can pick a range of pages, so you can say pages from X to Y, or you can pick, say, only the odd pages or even pages from the subset. What it doesn't let you do is pick specific pages, so you can't really say, I want this to be on page number 1, page number 7, page number 11, whatever. So you have to set a range. And if I hit OK here, then it will apply it to all those pages. You see them here. Then if you go ahead and say change your mind about this, you had a typo here, what have you, you can go back to pages, header and footer, and update. It will take you back inside that window with the same options. You can just, type in something else, and it will update. If it's okay, it will update the headers here. If you want to get rid of this altogether, you can go to header and footer and remove. It will ask you if you're sure. Hit yes, then it will get rid of all those headers and footers. Now let's talk about adding watermark to an existing document to tell other people that it's our document, or if it's, say, a draft version, you can just put a watermark saying draft or what have you. To do that, again, you go to Tools, Pages, and because that has to do with the pages, and you choose watermark in the Edit Page Design panel, and you go to Add Watermark. This will bring up a different panel here, the watermark panel, slightly different than the header and footer panel. You have two options. You can either use text as watermark, or you can use a file as watermark. I'll show you both. I'll start with text. You get a little preview, a large preview rather, of your screen here. So I'll just type in here, maybe say draft. This is draft version of that document. Okay. And here you can change the font. Pick a thicker font, like this. You can change the size, and this size will only go up to, I think it's 72. It will go to up to 72, which shrinks things down. So you can't make anything bigger than this using this option. There's a work around this. I'll show you that. Then, of course, you can change the color, you can change the underline or the alignments. I'll skip all these. I'll come back here, and I'll give this a rotation. So you can either rotate it by 45 degrees either. So minus 45, rotate it to the right. Plus 45, will rotate it to the left, like that. Or you can set your custom rotation by typing it here, or using these arrows here. If I just click on this arrow once, each time I click, it will increase that amount by 1 degree, which will be quite tedious. If you hold down the shift key as you do this, it will increase it by 10. So 60, 50, 70, rather 50, 60, 70, and so on. I'll bring it down by 10 degrees as well. I'll come back to opacity. Like I said here, you can't go more than 72 points. If you come down here and check this box here where it says scale relative to target page, you can scale this up as much as you want using this option. So I can just go, hold down shift and click here again, and I can scale this up as much as I want. Then I can go to the opacity, and this will change the transparency of this text. I can click and drag it to the left, and you'll see now we can see through this text as well. Now, again, on the top right here, you have your page range options. You can pick a range or even pages or odd pages only. And this is quite interesting, it's appearance options. If you click on this one, you have these two really interesting options here. You can detick this, show when displaying on screen, and everybody can see this without the watermark. But as soon as it goes for print, if they want to print this out on the desktop printer, then the watermark will be there. So it will freak them out, unless they know why this is happening, it will freak them out, because they can't see anything, but when they print it, it's there. Or you can do the other thing, you can turn off show when printing, and turn on show when displaying on screen. So it will be visible on screen, but if you want them to get a clear copy of it, you can turn it off when printing, and it won't print out. So it will just be there for screen. This is quite a good option. I quite like this option. And like I said, if they don't know this, they'll probably give you a call back saying, what the heck is going on? Why can't I get a clear copy of this? And it's under appearance option here. Again, you have the save settings option here. So if you spend too much time preparing all this, you can go to save settings and save this as a preset. Then you can always come back to this window and apply the same preset, and you'll always see this. Or you have to apply to multiple options here, which will work exactly the same. Now let's see. Like I said here, you can't really change the range here. You have to give it a range. You have to say from page X to page Y, or only even pages or odd pages or what have you. If you were desperate to have a different watermark on, say, the second page, there's a work around this. It's probably not mentioned in the user manual or whatever, but this is how we can work around that. I'll just apply this to every single page now. I'll add this watermark, and I'll go to my Pages panel by clicking here, and you'll see on every single page you'll have this watermark. And say I didn't want it on the second one. What I can do is I can go ahead and create a new PDF with the second page with a different watermark, and bring that page in here, and it will retain the watermark until we click a button. So I'll show you how that works. I'll go to my desktop and open up a copy that I prepared of this, exactly the same copy without the watermark. So it's the same thing, only without the watermarks. And say I want to apply a watermark here that will say final rather than draft. So I'll go to Tools, Watermark, Add Watermark, and I'll type in final. Okay, change it again, bring the opacity down and what have you. I'll hit OK to apply it there. Then I'll open up the Pages panel here as well. So I see all those pages. And I'll drag this to the right, so I can see my other document here as well. I'll click on the pages I want to bring here, drag it inside this other document. I'll let go, and I'll get rid of this PDF here. I don't need to do anything to that PDF. Now you'll see I have my first page saying draft, my second page saying final, and the third page is a copy of the second page, because we just brought the second one extra later on, and the rest will say draft again. I can get rid of this third page now by clicking on this trash can. So you'll have different watermarks here. This only stays there as long as you don't touch it. If you want to say update the watermark for draft, you want to call this draft 2 or whatever. If you go to Pages, Watermark, Update, and you see draft here, and maybe let's change it to draft 02. Hit OK, and it will change all of these again. So you do this at the very last if you are desperate about getting a different watermark on one of the pages. Okay, so that's how we add a watermark to an image. And let's talk about to a PDF rather. Sorry, you can get rid of the watermark again the same way as you got rid of the header info. You can go to Watermark, Remove, hit yes, and it will get rid of all those watermarks. And let's talk about reduction. So redacting sensitive information from a PDF may be useful in many cases. Say you have people's phone numbers or their wages showing up or their contact details and what have you, and you want to get rid of them. And this is what the end result will look like. So we're just going to black them out. There are two different ways you can do this. You go to Tools and Protection, because you're trying to protect this document now, protect the information inside this document. Then you go to Mark for Reduction. Reduction takes place in two steps. You first mark bits that you want to black out, then you apply those bits to be marked, to be redacted. If I click there, this window is exactly what, it tells me exactly what I just told you. It says it takes two steps. First need to mark, then need to apply. If you don't want to see this again, hit Don't Show Again. I'll hit OK. Now it's ready for me to go ahead and mark for reduction. If you have text like this, searchable text, you can go ahead and highlight text. So say I want to get rid of the words click. I can highlight the text here, click, and you'll see that it will put a red mark around it. And try and find the other clicks here. Okay. Now you go through this, and for text it works fine. For images, like this one here is an image, it's Adobe Connect and what have you. What you can do is you can click outside the image and draw a rectangle like this, and it will create this red shape here. And if you move your cursor on top of this shape, it will give you a preview of what that's going to look like once the reduction has been applied. Once you set all these up, you go down to your Protection panel and click on Apply Reductions. And it's giving you a warning saying you're permanently going to remove all this content. Are you sure? And it says it can't be undone, which is a lie. Really, you can't really harm this document, because if I just say yes, I'm sure, I'll tell you what I mean, what I meant in a second. And it goes ahead and applies those reductions, and it gives you another option to look for hidden information. So you can have maybe the same words saying your metadata or what have you. So do you want me to look for them? It's asking you. I don't, so I'm going to hit no. And the reason it's saying that operation is undoable is this. If I then, let's say, go to content and edit object here to move this black box around. We had some information behind this box, right? If I move this out. Oops. My graphics card is being a bit funny now. Yeah. If I move this out from the way, I can't select it now, huh? You see that there's nothing underneath that anymore. It just got rid of all this content here. If I move this black box here, you see that that click word just disappeared. That's why it's telling you that, make up your mind first. Make sure that it's what you want. The reason why I said it's not really not undoable is because if I want to save this, if I go to File, Save, it won't let me save this on top of the existing document anyway. It will just bring up the Save As document. So you can't really harm the original document. I can call this, by default, it will just add this underscore at the end of the file name and it will add redacted. I can just go ahead and apply this, save, and this document will now be redacted like this. This is one way, this is manually doing it. There's an automated way of doing this, and I'll show you that now. If I quit this one, open up the copy here. Say instead of redacting manually, just going to this word, choosing it manually, I can search for words and redact them like this, like that. So I can go to Tools and go down to Protection, and I can choose this option here, Search and Remove Text, as opposed to Mark for Redaction. I can click on this, and this is now giving you a warning. It's telling you that it's going to look for text that's searchable. That's text that you can select. But if you have text, say, inside an image like this, inside a JPEG like this, it won't know that it's text. So it's just warning you. Just hit OK there, and it will bring up your search panel. Then here you have some options. So where would you like to search? By default, it will be inside this current document, or you can pick different documents here. I'll come down here. I'll skip all these. I'll come down here and just type in the word that I want to find and get rid of. Let's say it's the word click. Not click, click. Okay. Then after I type that word in, I'll click on Search and Remove Text. It will go ahead and look for that word inside this document, and it will give you a report. It will say it looks for click in this current document, and in this document it found 6 instances of click. What do you want to do with them? You see all the clicks that it found here. You can put tick marks next to them, or you can click on check all and it will put the tick marks next to all of them. You can come down here and click on mark check results for reduction. This time it will put those red rectangular shapes around those words. I can go and close the search panel now. Now all the click words have now been marked in this document. Then I can go ahead and apply the same reductions here. So I'll click on apply reductions, and I'll say yes, I'm sure, and we'll go ahead and find all those click words and get rid of them. I don't want to look for the hidden information, so I'll just click no. And that's how you apply reduction to a PDF document to protect sensitive information. Then you go ahead and save this, of course. Let's talk about adding a password-driven security to your PDF. So I'll just quit this without saving. Actually, no, I'll just open this back up again. Say I want to be able to send this PDF to someone, or set a group of people, a bunch of people, and I want to be able to protect this PDF. So as long as they have the password, it's fine, they can open it. If they don't have a password, then they shouldn't be able to open it. And that's called encryption or protection. And that's under Tools, again, Protection, and Encrypt. If you're using this tool quite often, if you find yourself, in fact, using any of these tools quite often, you can right-click on those tools and choose Add to Quick Tools, and you'll see these are your quick tools here. This will get added here on this top menu bar. Then you can just get rid of this tools panel by clicking, and it will still be here. I'll click on this shield icon here, and I want to encrypt with a password. There's a different way of encryption. You can create a certificate, which would require you to create a new file and send that file over to someone, so it's a lot more secure. But password for now will just be fine. So I'll click on encrypt with password, and it's asking you if you're sure. Say yes, I'm sure, and it will bring up the password security settings. Now, a few things that this window wants to know. First is which version of Acrobat do you want to make this, or Reader, do you want to make this document that you're creating compatible with. It will say Acrobat 7 and later by default. As a rule of thumb, the earlier versions you go here, the less secure or the easier it will be for, say, a hacker to break into this document. The later versions here will be more difficult. So if I just click on Acrobat 10 and later, you'll see it says it uses a different encryption method, 256. And if I go to, say, Acrobat 5, it uses a different encryption method. And this one here is a lot more secure. But if you're not sure what version of Acrobat your end user has, try and stay away from this latest version, because they may have Acrobat 8, Acrobat 9. If you do it this way, they wouldn't be able to open it. So most of the time stick with Acrobat 7 and later, so everyone can open it. I've read somewhere that this takes a hacker 4 months or something to break, and this one takes about like 6 months or something. So, you know, it is secure. That's my point. So don't have to worry about it too much. You have a couple of more options down here. So it asks you, okay, what do you want to protect in this document? Do you want to protect the entire document? Do you want to protect the entire document except the metadata, this option, which should make this document still say searchable by a search engine like Google or what have you. So people can still access the metadata. Or you can encrypt only the attachment. So you can have file attachments on this document, and you can only encrypt them. So they need the password. They need the password to open up those attachments. I want to encrypt everything. And it also tells you which versions of Acrobat these are compatible with. Then I'll come down here and check this box, require a password to open the document. Then it will take me inside this password field, and I'll need to type in a password. This field here, well, this status bar here is new to Acrobat 10. If you're using an earlier version, you wouldn't see this. It tells you how strong your password is. Ideally, you want to have, of course, this is common sense, a combination of letters, punctuation marks, numbers, and so on, uppercase, lowercase. I'm just going to type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it tells me that it's a weak password, which I know. So if I just combine different things like this, it will go towards strong and best. There's no way I'm going to remember this. So I'm going to just type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the password that we'll use to open up this document. Second option here, you can restrict the access, restrict the actions that the other users have on your document. If you click on this, you can say, okay, they wouldn't be able to, I don't want them to print this document, I don't want them to make any changes, or if you're saying, say, if you're sending a photograph, for example, in a PDF, and you want to make sure that they only print it in high resolution, you can choose printing allowed, only high resolution, so they can't print out a low resolution version. Or you can choose changes allowed, and you can pick any of these changes. So you can say they can insert pages, they can extract pages, what have you. By default, they'll be set to none, so they can't really do much. And they also can't copy text and images from this document, because this button here is not checked. This one here is checked for accessing purposes. So if someone's visually impaired, leave this button on, so their software, which kind of reads them out, the text, can still access it, but not the users. And this is protected by a change permission password, and this can't be the same as the open password. It will just give you a warning otherwise. So just type in 654321, and I'll hit OK. Now it's asking you that once you create this document with a password, and once you save it, if you forget the password, then it's bad. If you forget it, then you can't open it again. Okay? That's why it's asking to make sure. So I'm just going to type in the password here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's okay. And it's just giving you a warning. It's saying it's doing its best to protect your document, but there may be still some third-party software that can access this just to protect their backside. I'll hit OK here. And it's also asking you to confirm the permissions password. Again, if you forget that, there's no way of getting that back. So 654321. It's OK. And it will tell you, it's kind of user-friendly Acrobat itself. It's telling you what's going to happen. So it's telling you, unless you save this file, nothing will change. And say OK. Thank you, Acrobat. You see a little padlock icon here, which we'll come back to later. I'll just go ahead and save this file now. So I'll go to File, Save. As soon as I do this, look at the name here. So save. Next to the name, you'll see this word here, secured. That means now this document is now being protected by a password. I'll just quit this now. I'll even quit Acrobat. And what's this one? I'll double click to open it up. And it's asking us to enter the password. I'll just type in any other password. Hit enter, and it's quite nicely telling us that maybe we forgot the caps lock on. Hit OK. I'll just type in the right password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it will open up that document. Now, if you want to get rid of the protection here, if you want to get rid of your password, you change your mind or what have you, you can go to your little padlock icon here, click on that, and you'll have a little option here to take you to the permission details. Or you can go to File, Properties, and there you'll get to the same place, so File, Properties. Permission details will take you inside Document Properties and into the Security tab. Say I want to get rid of this password. I can go to Security Method, click, and choose No Security. Of course, you have to have the password to do this. And oh, actually, it asks you the permissions password, which is used to make changes to this document. And I just typed in the document open password, which was to just open the document. So this is what it says. Please enter a permission password. So the permission one was the second one we set. So 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit OK. And again, it's going to ask you if you're sure. It does this quite a lot. Hit that. Hit yes that you're sure. Then OK this, and you'll see that the padlock disappears. But the name here is still secured. If I go to File, Save, and that secured option will then again disappear. Now this file became unsecure again. So that's how we apply basic password-driven security to your PDFs. And finally, let's talk about optimizing a PDF. Let's close this up. And I have this PDF here that I can optimize. Just zoom out here. Command minus will also zoom out on the keyboard. Okay, this is a PDF with 8 pages, and it has some images in them. Okay. And I just want to be able to get the file size small. Now, let's first check how big this file is to start with. You can either on the Windows go to your Explorer and right-click and go to Properties, or on a Mac, go to right-click, get Info. Or if you're inside Acrobat, you can do Command or Control D, open up Page Properties, and Document Properties. Then you can go to Description. Then it will tell you how big this file is. So file size is just under 500 kilobytes. Also gives you more information as to how this PDF was created. If you created it from InDesign, it would say PDF Producer, Adobe InDesign, CS, whatever. So just under 500 kilobytes, and I'll just hit OK here. Now there are 2 ways to do PDF optimization. One is kind of, I call it, quick and dirty way. It doesn't give you any options really. Just say make this file smaller, and it goes OK. Takes that file, makes it smaller. The other one is a little bit more powerful. It gives you more options. You can say, okay, make it smaller using this technique, or make it smaller whilst you get rid of this part, and so on. So let's first start with the quick and dirty way. Let's by going to File, Save As, Reduced Size PDF. You just click on it once. And all this window wants to know is which version of Acrobat do you want me to make this new PDF compatible with. As a rule of thumb, if you go earlier in versions, your PDFs will be larger. If you go later in versions, your modified PDFs will be small. But again, you want to make sure that the other user has the same version or a later version. So I'll stick with Acrobat 9 and later. And I'll just hit OK, and it will ask me to save this file somewhere. And I'll just go ahead and call this PDF Reduced. Hit Save. It will go ahead and process all those images. And this image has some masks applied to it when it was created, so just giving you a warning there. Just hit OK here. And I'll just close this and go to that PDF Reduced and check its size from just under 500. Now it reduced this PDF to about 242 kilobytes. about half the size, quite good. Sometimes it does a good job like this. Sometimes it does an amazing job. There was this engineer who had some problems with the PDFs that they were using, and they came up to us, and he said, I can't get this PDF to work because it was like 80 megabytes or something, and they had some drawings and whatever. I just said, have you tried reducing the PDF size first? And he said, how do I do it? I just said, go to File, Save As, Reduce Size PDF. From 80 megabytes, the PDF was down to about 2 megabytes. And visually, you couldn't see, well, you could see a little bit of pixelization, but nothing great. And after that, it worked, because obviously the computer wasn't able to handle 80 megabytes with long PDF, full of that one, full of images and drawings and what have you. So this should be probably your first action if you want to reduce the size of PDF. This should be your first action. If you're not happy with the result, if it's not small enough, if the images look a little bit distorted, can you see it kind of downsample these images? They're not as sharp anymore, these images. If you're not happy with this result, there's another option. So I'll quit this and open up the very same file, the larger version. And instead of reduce size PDF, I'll go to File, Save As, Optimize PDF. Now this brings up a lot more options than the other one. Now, we'll talk about all these now. Before we do anything else, let's find out how big this PDF is and what's taking up all that space. Why is it 400 kilobytes? Why is it 500 kilobytes? Well, there's this button on the top right here called Audit Space Usage. If you click on that, it will tell you what your PDF exists of. So, it will tell you in total, 100% of this PDF is just under 500 kilobytes. And I'm just looking up here, I won't talk about all these now, but I'm looking up here and most of it is taken up by images. You have your fonts as well as taking up some space. You can go ahead and change all those as well. And content streams are lines that you have in the PDFs. Like if you have an Illustrator files, those are content streams. But if I do some work on the images here, I can reduce the size of the PDF greatly. So I'll hit OK here. Now I know what's taking up space. I'll go to this Images tab here. I'll come down to the right, and I'll tell Acrobat what to do with those images. Now, I'll say, Acrobat, downsample these images, meaning degrade those images, using this default option here, this default algorithm works fine. You don't have to change it. You can change it to different ones if you like. They will give you slightly different results, but the default one here seems to work fine. It's just a different maths it uses. And here's what it said, what we say. Downsample the images which are about 112 pixels per inch down to 75 pixels per inch. Okay. I can say downsample the images which are about 75 down to 75, which is another way of kind of forcing Acrobat to make everything that's larger than 75 back to 75. Although otherwise, if I had like this 112, if an image was 111 pixels, it wouldn't touch it. Pixels per inch, it wouldn't touch it. So it just looks for pictures about this. I can downsample this, maybe to 30, just to show you how that works. And I'll say downsample those images, and if they're about 30 pixels, bring them pixels per inch, bring them down to 30 pixels an inch. Okay. And use the type of JPEG compression. That works fine. You can use a TIFF zip compression as well. I'll just stick with JPEG. It gives you a lower file size, a smaller file size. And you can say, make the quality, say the minimum, or you can pick different ones here. Of course, the higher you go, the less compression you'll get. I'll just take it all the way down to minimum. This applies for color images, RGB or CMYK. If you had some grayscale images, you can do the same settings here. I don't have any grayscale here. Or if you had some monochrome images, you have the options here as well. This last button is quite an interesting one. It says optimize images only if there's a reduction in size. So sometimes, if it's say an image which is black and white, optimizing that may not reduce the size of the image. So just leave those alone. So because if you optimize it if it's not going to affect the image size, you'll still see the degradation, but it won't affect the size. So if that's the case, Acrobat doesn't optimize it. I'll hit OK here, and it's asking me to save this new version. I'll just call this PDF opt for optimized. Hit save, and you'll see a great change. Now again, it's giving me that warning for the mask. I'll just ignore this. You'll see the